Well, one more book down in this bloody series, and I haven't felt as much of a time waste as this one. It's basically a 230-page epilogue following the end of the war from book 3. I can remember when I first read Mockingjay and having so much respect for its boldness and not shying away from the real consequences of war and its devastating effects, even though the majority of Hunger Games readers didn't prefer the book from what I heard. I remember the epilogue at the end of that book going on to describe Katniss and Peeta scrapping out a meager living in this new world, even surprising me with a child, which actually represented the hope for a future, because a practical Katniss from book 1 would have never. But that epilogue was only a couple of pages. This book had potential to do more than that, but instead we're treated to what could be summarized as a plotless Christmas special similar to that of Beauty and the Beast, just not with the creepy looking organ.
Oh, come along, it's merely an opera.
A Court of Frost and Starlight takes place right after Act War when they're trying to rebuild everything in Prythian while getting used to the fact that there is no longer a wall or separation between the Fey realm and humans. Territories have not yet been joined, but everyone is still a little uneasy and a little on edge. Everyone, that is, except for Tamlin, whose house is right on the border and practically a first defense, but he's too busy sulking in his palace to care. Feyre doesn't seem to be the forgiving type, but Rhysand goes to check on him anyway, for no real rhyme or reason. I guess this is just to give the readers a preview of what happens when the guy doesn't get the girl. They just sit around waiting for someone else to come finish them off.
What's the matter, beast? Too kind and gentle to fight back? Oh.
The mini-plot that does drive this story forward is Feyre and her friends getting ready for the winter solstice, which again is where the Christmas theme comes in. The first part of the book has a lot of Feyre moping because she isn't exactly in the holiday spirit while her and Rhys are too busy rebuilding, but they're encouraged to make this the perfect positive distraction. For the next third of the book, she's moping about how she doesn't think that she deserves to even celebrate because of everything that they've lost and everything that happened in the war. Similar to the last two books, not a lot happens in here. There might have been some subplot with her sisters. I mean, I assumed that would be the real pull to this short novella, but nothing really happens between Cassian and Nesta, save their argument the night of solstice, and Lucien, who is still pining for Elaine on the sidelines. I'll be honest, I didn't expect a lot from this book, but it could have taken things a little farther than it did. I thought it was nice that Feyre wanted to open up the art studio, but the timing is so thin, which is sad because it really could have been the subplot for another part of her character arc. She spends the beginning of this book feeling guilty for wanting to get back into painting instead of finding purpose in it or for it. Then she has this idea to buy a studio, is doing the numbers, finds out she can afford it, debates whether or not to buy it, only to have it just given to her. There's no real rhyme or reason for her painting, which she just went through a war. I mean, obviously this is something that she could work through with her drawings, her paintings. The most they get out of it is telling Feyre that she should open up her studio for painters who are going through financial ruin after the war to work through their problems and their pain. On the other side of the coin, Rhysand could have come to some common ground with Tamlin. As far as another subplot goes, it would have been nice to see some sort of negotiation, whether that's regarding court ownership or boundaries, especially in regards to the Spring Court, but there's no real declaration of rules or leadership in Prythian now, except for the one immortal queen who helped them all out. Her name was Vassa. She is now the ruler of this realm with, get this, Jurian. You know, the general that was helping the King of Highborn. So I guess we're just going to keep pretending that Jurian is one of the good guys, even though it was never really explained to us in the first place why he was one of the good guys.
Why?
Back to the Rhysand and Tamlin thing. Rhysand is obviously worried about Tamlin enough to check up on him, and then again when Lucien prods that Tamlin is even worse off since, but their conversation always ends with Feyre. It's only ever about who gets the girl in here, and Rhysand doesn't really offer any words of wisdom, encouragement, or even challenging repartee to boost Tamlin's morale. There's no motivation and there's no point for his visits except for apparently gloating, but I guess he's not actually gloating because he's supposed to be sensitive here. And Tamlin doesn't really come to any kind of conclusion. He doesn't decide to do anything, and he's just kind of given up on his own court. He doesn't have his subjects anymore since the war ended, but he's not really determined to do anything, which just doesn't fit his character profile. The only real focus on here and the only real reason for Tamlin to live apparently is Feyre. So there's really no point for Rhysand to visit, and there's no point in Tamlin being here in this book at all, aside from us seeing his punishment for treating Feyre like a caged bird, even though, you know, she's just been put in another cage. But Valeris is beautiful this time of year. The rest of the book is Feyre trying to reconcile with her sisters. Elaine is just about finished moping over her fiancé, Grayson, who is still a dirtbag in my opinion. But she's getting into baking, she's smiling, she's in a better mood. So when Lucian shows up, she goes to hide in the kitchen and just stare at a tea kettle. I can't decide whether I feel bad for this guy or I'm starting to find it creepy at this point. Then we have Nesta, whom Feyre feels obligated to invite to Solstice, but I personally was not expecting her older sister to be living in the grungiest part of the city. I didn't even know Valeris had a grungy part of the city. I thought it was all moonshine and stars. But I guess here, if you drink enough moonshine, you'll see stars anyway. So Feyre finds Nesta in this dark tavern gambling with a bunch of guys, and it's not explicitly said that she's been doing the nasty with some other fae to pay her rent, but kind of implied that Nesta has sold herself into prostitution out of pure stubbornness to avoid living in luxury with her other sisters. She insists on doing things her way, and Cassian later admits that he does not care that she's been with other guys. He's just there for her. But she keeps rejecting him, so I'm not really sure what book 3 was trying to set up as far as their relationship goes. Feels kind of forgotten about. The rest of the characters are just floating around. It's a lot of the same kind of filler we get from the first books. Honestly, I don't know why I keep expecting more from characters whose IQ can be determined by the number of pages taken to make fun of whether or not Amren is actually potty trained. If you're wondering, it's 3. There were 3 pages of these guys joking about how Amren takes a piss. But that is what it is. It's an ACOTAR book. Nothing more, nothing less. And for a novella, it didn't really offer much of a plot anyway, probably because it didn't feel like it really had to. It was just trying to ease the tension into the next book, which I have ordered, and hoping to God it is the final book in the series, the dreaded 800-page Columbo that will probably be the biggest waste of my time, since technically the series was only ever meant to be a trilogy. What? That's all I've got for you today, though. If you feel like striking up a convo, leave a comment. If you want more snarky book reviews like this one, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss them. I hope to see you guys next time.